Hi, my name's Lindy and welcome to my channel. I hope those of you that have been with me for a while on this journey and on this channel are coping okay, doing okay as the large chess game, smoke and mirrors chess game across the world unfolds. And for those of you new to my channel, I hope you find the content helpful to you in your journey, wherever you dip into it, and I hope you find these, let's say, later stages of the journey interesting also. So I'm going to leap straight in. The title will have something to do with Sea of Souls or Fishing Net of Souls or something like that in it. I'm working slightly differently to normal. Normally I instinctively get the title, but I'm working a different way around at the moment, so I'm getting it more after I've given the information. Hope you came through the 8-8 Lionsgate mate okay. To say there was an intensity would be an understatement. I think for everybody, myself included, and everybody I know, but it has, let's say, speeded up people's process, and it's a bit like standing on the edge of a precipice and then getting a huge shove, so to speak, from spirit or the universe to surge people forward. You know, another metaphor or analogy I could use is being halfway down the birth canal and then just getting a big shove or a big pull to sort of speed things up. So as if they could really go any faster, really. It's all going pretty fast. I mean, we're going to be talking about Christmas soon. Whereas it just seems like 5 minutes that it was last Christmas, when in fact it was only 5 minutes really. So I'm going to leap in now. So really what I found on this evolutionary journey of mine personally, but also what I have observed also. So this coming from the heart, this coming from the knowing. Obviously I'm a natural channel anyway for spirit. You can see all that on my resume on my website, Lindy at Raising Reality there, so I won't waste time getting into it now. I'm going to leap into what I've noticed about, well, it all interlinks with the so-called karma and the beliefs around karma. Also links into the recycling, the regurgitation, the recycling and throwing back of a soul, and all these kind of things. So I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying I have to simplify it for you. It's just as much as for me as for you. Why I'm saying I'm going to try and simplify it is because literally as it comes through my heart, channeled through my mouth, I am sometimes putting some of the bits of the puzzle into place as it's coming out. So I've, let's say, the nuts and the bolts of it and the understanding of it. But sometimes when I'm talking it, speaking it out loud like this, then it all comes through, all the dots add up, so to speak. So let's start with the karmic aspect of it. For some time now, let's say several years, I'll say several years, about 5-6 years, I've been very much aware of my own personal changing views based on experience of the traditional, shall we say, teachings on karma. Those teachings being what goes around comes around, and if someone is spending a life, not only a life not of service to others, but if someone is spending a life that we would consider, you know, a very bad life, where they're bad, let's say, to other people, you know, and real extreme senses of that, that they will get paid back by the universe during this life, or they will get thrown back into the lion's den when they leave this life and review their life and have to come back and do it all over again. So they're the traditional teachings of it. And also along within those teachings of it is that you can have a karmic connection with somebody or multiple people. That means you've played out a reality with them before, or are playing out a reality with them now in a parallel dimension, or in another reality, past, present and future, all existing in the same moment that's running now. And because the theme didn't get worked out then, that it will get worked, it has to keep going and going till it's worked out. So these are some of the traditional, let's say, teachings around that, and almost like karmic like contracts. So what my understanding is, as that understanding has been changing over a long period of time, is that the whole prospect of let's explain it this way, that the whole prospect of karma speeded up significantly, which meant that over the last 4 to 5 years, particularly around the 5-year mark, taking us back to about 2016-ish, as things were speeding up and we were really getting pushed through almost like the time-space barrier really into the 0 point, that karma, in the sense that we understood it and people were talking about it, the traditional teachings, became different. It changed. It became more immediate, instant. So again, the easiest way to describe it is somebody that had lived a life that was really cruel to other people, self-serving, wickedness to others, may play out a whole life seemingly on top, you know, and getting away with it. And then in the afterlife, or on leaving the consciousness, leaving this reality, there would be payback for that, and they wouldn't go to the plane of existence they maybe would have hoped to have gone to, and would go to another plane of existence where they would have to learn and relearn, or get chucked back again. That sounding like a slow, laborious process, which in a way, because of our way of understanding and processing time, it was. You could see someone get away with it for 50 or 60 years or 70 years. Karma, if you go along with I'm going to word it this way, if you go along with the traditional teachings of karma, changed about 5 or 6 years ago into becoming instant. So what I mean by that is you could actually sense it, see it and feel it, taste it, touch it in the energy, that where it would take years for someone to build that up, or even pay it back the other way round, somebody that was in this reality that they're aware of, the one that they're mainly aware of here as a multidimensional soul, they would spend that life making up for shit they did in another one. Now, of course, most people don't know what they did in another one, but so you can go that way as well. It being a whole lifetime, it's all become instant. It's all become very fast, which means instant karma for doing bad against others, if you like, and instant clearing of the decks of making up for that. Now, you could say to me, well, in my life, I haven't, you know, seen that, Lindy, and people still seem to be getting away with it. Or you could be someone that's having a really hard life full of suffering and struggle and say, well, it doesn't seem instant because that hasn't come to an end yet. The easiest way again to explain it is to say that the energy shifted, and what would take a recycling of the soul, a spirit choosing to come back through the soul to keep recycling things to play out a theme, which in our processing of time, because spirit's processing of time is nothing like ours, it's all instant, and ours on the earth plane is now becoming more instant. It all shifted, it all started to shift and then finally shifted, so that everything is rushing into that now moment, truly and physically. Past, present and future, everything is coming into the now. The karma thing was something that it seemed laboriously slow to us, whether we were making up for something that we might have done in a reality we can't remember or haven't got access to at the moment, or haven't accessed yet, or weren't multi-dimensional enough to access, or whether you know, we were on the receiving end of some of that sort of stuff. You know, it can play either way of the fence, either us making reparation for that, or, you know, playing out these repeating patterns. It would seem to be like really laborious and take forever. We now have the capability, as we are becoming vastly more multidimensional and catching up with the 0 point sort of time inside us, everything rushing together and coming to that point inside us, that there can be instant wiping the slate clean for what one has done in alternate realities, past, if you want to say it, past lives, parallel dimensions, and there can be instant karma for doing terrible deeds in this reality. And whereas perhaps people thought, oh well, I've got years to go yet, and I'll have to, you know, I'll have to go wherever I've got to go and pay it back then, it's the opportunities are different now. There is an instant opportunity to wipe those decks clean. Now you could ask me, how does one do that? By being consciously aware that it can be done. So the traditional teachings on karma is that, you know, again, what goes around comes around, and somewhere along your life, if you don't pay it back, if you don't make up for it, if you're not in service to others, and let's say a good person and helping others from that place of the heart and love and compassion, that almost like, well, don't worry, because you'll get chucked around again like a washing machine, and then you'll have to do it then. Or if you're really, really extremely dark on that end of the spectrum in behavior and what you're doing towards to humanity, that you will go to a different plane of existence and get held there, so you learn and see and understand what you've done and get to make amends for it. There are two massive big changes there, like I say. One is the speed of which one can clear the decks of these old karmic ways of running energy and relating to energy, whichever side of the fence you are on there. And how you do that is you become conscious that it is possible, and you don't have to wait for the afterlife. But there's also another angle to this, a completely different angle. Years ago on my YouTube channel, I started talking about the false light, and that's very much in the light worker industry. When people are tuning in, they're told to tune to the light. And there are light programs. I think I called a video on my channel. If you look back, you'll find it. I think it's called the false light or the light program. There's another one on there along the same lines. I called it eggs, infinite consciousness, saying that it was like being in an egg. One could tap into the egg yolk and believed that was the pinnacle, the light, and there was nothing more beyond the egg yolk. And yet if one burst through the rungs of consciousness in the heart, they would come through the egg white, not the egg yolk, the egg white, that they could burst through the egg white and see it was just egg white, burst through the eggs entirely and come to the unlimited, let's say, Christ consciousness, genuine, infinite compassion, love, joy, which is within the brightest light and bliss one can imagine. But that there was a whiteness below that, what we call the egg white, that could be falsely programmed, like false light, or people could tune into that, and actually that was a program within itself. And I called that video Eggs Infinite Consciousness. I think, if I remember now, because it was several years ago, I think during the channeling of that particular video, there was all sorts of lights going off in the background just to demonstrate that, showing that the light was changing as I was talking, sort of almost to illustrate what I was saying, which, you know, happened all on its own, you know, by channeling it through spirit. So that egg white, or programmed light, the light program, that is a highly contaminated field or spectrum of energy that one can accidentally loop into, not just in this reality, tuning into it for their meditation or tuning into it because one feels that's the pinnacle, not realizing it's just the white of the egg and you're in an egg and you can burst through the egg into the heart, into the rungs of infinite consciousness and go beyond that into Christed consciousness and the true love and bliss and light. But that within the egg white, we'll call it, the light program, souls can literally like be fished out of it like a fishing net. I'm going to call it a fishing net because how I see it psychically is a bit like a grid. I mean, you could say, is it like a matrix? Yes, I could use the word matrix. It's like a grid, a crisscrossy grid, but to me it looks a bit like a fishing net. And if one gets themselves accidentally tuned in and lives not only this life, but many lives multidimensionally in only the egg white, and not moving into the infinite Christ consciousness that they came from and came into that, and which they're designed to leave and go back to that, one can get fished out into a false matrix, fished out with a fishing net, like a fishing net of souls on the soul level, and regurgitated back multi-dimensionally, infinite Xbox games at the same time, past, present and future at the same time, jack all to do with karma, but as like a washing machine spat out to repeat and repeat the same painful loops of suffering in order for the fishermen who aren't men, the fisher beings that aren't nice beings, they're not really called fisher beings, they have lots of ancient non-terrestrial names, but let's just call them the fishermen for the purposes of this video. So the fishermen get to eat an unlimited supply of fear, suffering and pain, and keep one multidimensionally recycling, because one has kept within the egg white, one has been caught in the cycle, the light program, the false light program, into the grid, the matrix, the fishing net, which can recycle one over and over again, playing the same theme. When I say over and over again, you're doing it at the same time. So you're like an Xbox game. And this is not really an Xbox game. I'm just explaining it really simply. like an Xbox game, or like being in a movie theatre, but you're in infinite movie theatres at the same time, playing the same game at the same time. You might have a different face, you might be a different sex, you might be a different shape, you might be a different age, you might be a different skin colour, but it's all you, all expressions of you in multiple Xbox games or multiple movies at the same time, replaying the same theme. So your theme could be some kind of suffering related theme, whether it is illness in all the realities, whether it is unrequited love. Unrequited love is also a program. I've blown the whistle on this many times on my YouTube channel over the years. I call it the URL program. That's another one that's been heavily infiltrated. And these layers of programs can keep one regurgitating the same thing over and over again, you know, for millennia, because our understanding of time is painfully slow. That's all changing. Their understanding of time, that they understand what it really is, it's instant. It's all going like this. So it's all happening at the same time, so to speak. So there are crisscrosses, as there are with every inversion in our reality. There are crisscrosses between the traditional teachings of karma and how one has to keep coming back and making reparation for it, repeating the same thing over and over again. And you can regress people to past lives or to multidimensional realities. It's the same theme over and over again. There's crossover going on, like nodes, crossover points, like a crossroads. There are people that do that because, let's say, they're working something through on a multidimensional level that they decided to come in with that game plan. Like a game, like game plan. This is my game plan. This is my mapping. This is my soul mapping. This is my blueprint. I'm going to come in with that. This is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to resolve that. And then I'm going up into the higher planes of the consciousness within myself. I'm either going to ascend in the human body, or I'm going to, once I've done my bit on the earth planes or other planes of existence, then I'm going to go do something else. There's that going on. But there's also an interference with that process, which comes, they cross like that, they come very close, like two railway tracks that come very close. That is not meant to be there, and it's been there, I feel, for a very long time. Probably again around the same times as the fall of Atlantis, the interference with our consciousness that brought about the fall and collapse of the civilization of Atlantis, which remains a part of our consciousness. And that fishing net has been purposely designed so that people, instead of going to the bliss, instead of going to the unbelievable levels of the highest amazing love, joy, bliss, lightness inside, no solidity, fluid, mist, essence, soul, spirit, compassion, no pain, no sense of time, amazingness, meeting up with those souls that you know that are connected to you, whether it's soul family, blood family, friends, you know, connecting up to people that want to be connecting with you again, and you want to be connecting with them. Instead of going to the ultimate, let's say the pinnacle, the Christ consciousness within yourself, within your consciousness, accessing it. It's all accessible, it's all there. People sometimes accidentally tap into the egg white and then think that's the light, and this is where you get a lot of spirits trapped, ghosts trapped, where they don't know they've died yet, or in them. They didn't think they deserved to go to the Christ consciousness, or they've got a very strong belief system that just kept them in the egg white. Or you've got this other thing going on, the interference, the fishing net that deliberately encourages a soul to go to a bright light that isn't, let's say, the real light. You could say to me, how do I know the difference? Because it's all about the love and compassion within your heart. The love and compassion and Christ consciousness connects inside your heart, and it will always be those that you love and recognize instantly that come for you and are there for you to take you through your Christ consciousness process. You won't be fumbling about in light and then somebody come for you, or even, I'm going to go a little bit further here, which might upset some people. There is even programming around religious figureheads, you know, across the board, all parts of the world and earth. It's not one particular figurehead, it's all of them. So there can even be programming around that, where someone can tap into the egg white on leaving their body or on meditating or something, think they've reached the pinnacle, and see a religious representation of this, and it's just a hologram. It's just a hologram there, and it's not the real energy. And of course, this happens to millions of people. Until your consciousness is of a level inside you that you can be above that stuff that's happening, you can't see it because you're looking up at the egg white otherwise. So we've got all this overlapping stuff going on. We've got the false light, the egg white, the same thing. We've got a fishing net, or you could call it a matrix, designed to loop souls into never-ending, especially if they're trauma-based, painful trauma-based realities, existing all at the same time, because that releases a lot of food, a lot of, you know, chomping down on that electromagnetic food for the things that set the fishing net up, which aren't for humanity's highest outcome. And it's a never-ending supply, really. You know, they can just keep you looped in that. And how you don't loop in that, really, it's all about being true to yourself, following your heart, your truth, your passion, doing to those as you would do to yourself, having that love, compassion and care for others as well as for yourself. And also, the more you go into that, you're connecting within that, let's say, Christed pure consciousness within yourself, and on leaving your body at the end of your life, which of course isn't the end of your life, really. It's things go on infinitely, but the end of your time in your current human body. It means, or meditating, the same, meditating, it means you're connecting, let's say, to the real deal, the real stuff. It's nothing to be afraid of, it's something to be aware of. It's just another minefield that's been there for a very long time that we now know about and kind of know how it works. And of course, you've got the overlapping of this, of karmic, let's call it karmic. I'm not overly resonating with that word now, but that's the easiest word to talk about, really explaining what I'm explaining. Is you have that going on where people have agreed to play a particular game to experience it and see how much it expands their consciousness, or to play a particular game, a life, multiple lives, parallel dimensions, past, present and future, playing a theme because it not only expands their soul, but it actually brings things back to 0 point and a level playing field if one has accrued in their multi-dimensional experience a lot of negativity and darkness towards others and caused damage and pain and darkness and suffering in others. So it gives one the opportunity to take things back to 0 point again, neutral. Gives one the opportunity to do that. So you've got an overlap going on. It's not all one thing and it's not all the other things. So when people say, well, you've got a lifetime of pain and suffering because you must have been a real bastard in your past life, you know, that could be just a load of baloney. And it could be that you have been scooped by the fishing net at some point in your multidimensional reality. It doesn't have to be this timeline, it can be any of them to infiltrate it. And you're being fishing netted and looped over and over again. So you're drained like a battery, like an electromagnetic, you know, battery, like your electromagnetic field being drained as a food source. It could be that. Or it could be that you decided to be the bravest of the brave and, you know, carry the can for your whole multi-dimensional experience this time round. I'm even understanding that you can carry the can, so to speak, and process stuff like that, even for a family line, like a lineage, a blood family line or soul family, that you can agree before you come into this reality, okay, I'm going to be a brave one and I'm going to try and do it for a load of us at the same time. And if we want to extend it bigger, you know, some souls are doing that not just for their soul family or linear family, but they're doing it for mass parts of the collective. You know, there are many souls here doing a big part like that for the collective, trying to do it on that bigger scale. So you've got a whole lot of stuff going on here. The reason I'm bringing this video out is 2 or 3 reasons. One is for the awareness. The awareness that this is going on. And awareness is empowerment. It's empowering if you know it's going on. And how you ensure that you are connecting within yourself, within your meditation practice, within your spiritual practice, or within your ordinary everyday lives, or when you leave your earth vehicle to go into your spiritual form, even more spiritual form when you leave the body. How you ensure you're, let's say, going to the right place, not the egg white, and being chucked back is going to depend. Have you got any more stuff to work out? Had you agreed to work some more stuff out? Let's call that the karma bit. Or are you free as a bird? In which case, you know, you're just connecting again with your loved ones and those that love you. You will recognize that immediately in the heart. Or if you've been caught in the fishing net. Now, how you unhook from the fishing net is you become aware that there is a fishing net. You're conscious of it, not afraid of it, because if it's already happened, it's already happened. How you free yourself from the fishing net is awareness. That's your empowerment. And you free yourself from it by your own state of perception and awareness. It's all happening in here and in here. You've got the key to all of it. We've all got the keys to all of it. People don't know they're in, you know, people will never ask to come out of a jail cell, a prison, if they don't know they're in it. You've got the keys, you've got the codes, you've got the password, you've got the whole lot all in here and in here. And it really starts basically with that love and compassion, living your truth, trusting your heart. No matter what's going on around you, there's a crazy making chess game going on around all of us at the moment, you know, to the real extreme. Depending on what country you're in, some people are seeing extreme acts of awful things really against humanity. We're about halfway through that process. We're about halfway. We've got a little way to go yet. But this is what I'm talking about, is also implicated on what's happening on a boots on the ground level, on a physical level. This is all connected to it. The metaphysical, the universal, the metaphysical, the spiritual, the soul, what's happening boots on the ground here is all connected. Let's say the chess game is not just happening in the physical, it's a spiritual war. It's a war on human consciousness, which, well, actually started a long time ago, but really went up a gear in 2020. We're in a full-blown one. The good news is we know how it ends, and it ends really well, and that ending is unstoppable. The heart wins, but you know, there's people are going to take a bit of a battering on the way to that, or most people, one way or another. Most people know multiple people at this point that well, I'm not going to say for one reason or another, it's really all for the same reason, are either leaving the earth plane or are becoming very unwell. And if you want to know what I'm hinting at and talking about there, just look back at my last half a dozen videos. I'm spelling it out as plainly as I can. I can't spell it out any plainer than that on this actual channel I'm using. As you know, a lot of my friends, colleagues, and people I look up to are just being bumped off, you know, platforms like this where you are telling the truth. So I'm saying everything I can as plainly as I can, whilst still being able to use this facility. So I hope you found that interesting. You bypass the fishing net. You can bypass the fishing net or unhook yourself from the fishing net if you're already in it, whether you're conscious of that or not, by living your truth, going into the heart, connecting always from the heart, the purity of the heart, being aware that there are light programs, always connecting in a way. Really, it's all about the heart. It's not really, it's all about that. You're connecting purely from there. Any karmic play out you're doing, that we are at a point in history where everything's coming into the 0 point now. It can be sped up. It can literally be instant karma, an instant reparation, you making amends, even if you're consciously aware or not aware of anything, what that you supposedly have done, this reality or another one. You can, by kind of following the same process, really. And there's this is going on again, you know, this is going on all around it. There's a crisscross with all these different things going on, which can be very confusing for people, because they're like, well, am I is this karma? Was I a real bastard in another life? Or have I been hijacked, interfered with in my multidimensional reality somewhere in there, and then being looped back over and over again as a food source? You know, there can be a mix of different things going on there, and it's nothing to be alarmed about, but awareness is key to everything, because the answer to all of it is always being inside you. It's in here, and this has to inform this. It's all connected. You are your own Time Lords. I'm always coming back to that. You're your own Stargate. You're your own amazing, infinite, sovereign soul. This is why humans are in such demand in the universe, both from the most beautiful beings that help us, and the most malevolent beings that have interfered before and never want us to get back into how powerful we were in the times of Atlantis and our sovereignty, because at those levels it's much harder to interfere, and as we go up even beyond them, at that point it becomes almost impossible to interfere with human consciousness. And of course we are going onward, upward and inward, even beyond what we were doing at Atlantis this time. And we are doing it the long way round and the hardest way round, but it had to be done this way. We couldn't do it the way we did it before, coming in like it. Has to be done this way. Now you could say to me, and this has literally come to me psychically just as I'm about to sign off, why, Lindy, why does it have to be done this way round? Why are we having to work it up this way round? And it's making me have a big smile on my face, because this does not come from my idea or my mind. This is coming straight from me. And I'm going to say the word karma. I'm going to say the whole collective humanity clearing of the plate, clearing the field back to a clear playing field, a 0 point state, from the whole earth global collective karma to do with messing up and being interfered with at Atlantis. I literally didn't know that till 30 seconds ago. That's why we're doing it this way round. We're having to go the long way round, like a marathon instead of just a 100-yard relay race this time. We came down and did it the easy way before, messed up, got interfered with. We're doing it this way round so that that is all cleared. The whole karma, for want of a better word, to do with that in humanity's consciousness being cleared as we go through our own personal but collective global ascension process. Those that are remaining on the earth plane to do it, which, let's say the latest information I have on that is 4 point something billion, which has changed. It was far less than that 3 weeks ago, but it's gone up. So it might change again. It might go down a bit. It might go up a bit. I don't know, but it's gone up by about 1.5 billion in the last 3 weeks. That's how much things are changing. And probably the Lionsgate pushed some people through that maybe wouldn't have gone through before. So such are the times we're living in. We'll make a fantastic book, a fantastic movie, this, and I'm sure many fantastic books and movies will come out about this time in history that we're going through. You have to literally be living it to believe it. Quite incredible. On that note, I love you and leave you. I was recording far longer than I anticipated, but sometimes that's the way it goes. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you again soon. In regards to sessions with me, just to let you know, I am booking now for the 3rd week in October. The reason it's so far ahead is some of September, or most of September, I'm going to have to be off work while they are doing major building works in the property I'm living in, which will be impossible for me to work at that time. So if you are wanting a booking, I'm already in the 3rd week of October. So I can do the bookings, but you will have to factor in that you will be waiting. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.